and thanks a lot for joining this session on how you can do seamless remote onboarding and provide secure access to applications and resources within your Entra ID environment with Entra Verified ID and Face Check. I'm Jay Maharaj. I'm a product manager in the Microsoft Security Customer Experience Engineering team, focusing on Entra and our security products. I'm joined today by my colleague, Yusuke Kodama, who will be a co-presenter for today's session. Yusuke, would you like to come off mute and give a quick introduction of yourself?
Oh yes, hi everyone, my name is Yusuke. I'm also a product manager on Microsoft Entra covering APJ. I'm based out of Japan.
Thanks, Yusuke. Before we jump into today's session, a couple of announcements. Feel free to ask questions via the Q&A process. Yusuke and I will actually help answer any questions that you may have, and we can discuss some of those more pressing questions at the end of this session as well. We will also be posting a link to the survey soon. So please take out some time to provide us with your feedback. The feedback that you provide is very important to us, and your responses will help us shape the future of Entra Verified ID sessions. And at the same time, it helps us get an insight into what customers are thinking about Entra Verified ID as well. So that is why I encourage you all to please participate in the survey and give us your feedback. We'll be posting the link to the survey very soon. With that, let's get started with today's session. The agenda for today's session is as follows. We will start off with a quick intro to Entra Verified ID. Yusuke and I did a session on Entra Verified ID back in June that goes through the detailed introduction of Entra Verified ID. If you are new to Entra Verified ID, I'd strongly recommend that you watch the recording on YouTube of the session that we did in June. We will share the link to the recording in the summary email that you'll receive after this session as well, so you can go and watch it afterwards if you have not done it so at the moment. I will then talk about how you can do remote employee onboarding with Entra Verified ID with Face Check. But we will not stop over there. We will also dive into how you can securely do B2B guest user onboarding using Entra Verified ID with Face Check as well. Yusuke will then take us through how we can secure access to high-value applications and resources using Entra Verified ID. After that, we'll look at the new addition to Entra Verified ID capability, the much talked about Face Check, which has been announced as generally available earlier this month. I will then share some key resources with you all and a call to action on how you can get started with Entra Verified ID within your own organization. Modern day identity related challenges require a modern day solution. That is why Microsoft has come up with this revolutionary solution that will change the way you interact with digital services and platforms. Microsoft Entra Verified ID is a managed service for verifiable credentials. It provides organizations with a scalable, standards-based way to issue and verify credentials with end users or other organizations as part of an identity verification process such as onboarding, secure access to applications, or account recovery. With Verified ID, our organizations can easily and more securely verify workplace credentials, education status, certifications, or other unique identity attributes in seconds. Plus, it respects the privacy of end users who can own and control their own identity. It is essential to understand verifiable credentials in order to you to be able to understand what Entra Verified ID is all about. So let's start with the definition of what is a verifiable credential. Our credentials are part of our daily lives. Like, driver's licenses are used to assert that we are capable of operating a motor vehicle. University degrees can be used to assert our level of education. Government issued passports enable us to travel between countries. Verifiable credentials provide a mechanism to express these sorts of credentials on the web in a way that is cryptographically secure, privacy respecting, and machine verifiable as well. The diagram illustrates the participation of three parties in a verifiable credential interaction. The solution automates verification of identity, credentials, and claims. The issuer is an organization that attests to the claims and grants a digitally signed credential to the user. The user receives and approves the request for credentials from a verifier and presents the verifiable credential that they obtained from the issuer. The credential claims are cryptographically signed with the user's private key. The user takes full control of their identity data, granting permission and managing access through their digital wallet. In this case, the user can use Microsoft Authenticator as a digital wallet, or organizations can build their own wallets as well. We do provide like the SDKs if you are interested in building your own wallet to work with our Entra Verified ID capability. The verifier is an organization that requests proof, and then upon receipt of that proof, verifies that the claims in the verifiable credential actually satisfy the requirements. At the bottom, you can see our trust system. Our trust system is a foundation in establishing trust between decentralized systems such as the issuer and the verifier. The Microsoft Entra Verified ID solution uses the DID web-based trust system. Now, this slide actually shows a better depiction of how the interactions happen between the holder and the issuer, and the holder and the verifiers. The holder requests a verified ID from the issuer. The issuer then asks the holder to actually complete like certain attestation processes. And then when the holder or the requester actually successfully completes those attestation processes, the issuer actually then issues the holder with a verified ID that they can actually store in their Authenticator wallet. On the other side, on the right-hand side, the holder can then use that verifiable credential to actually gain access to a service, say, for example, from the verifier. The holder requests access approval from the verifier. The holder presents the verified ID to complete the verifier's identity challenge. And then once that is successfully done, the verifier gives the holder the access approval to be able to access resources within their boundary. Now, just quickly going through how you can set it up in your organization. With our Entra Verified ID service, we have made it so simple now that anybody can set it up within the organization within 5 minutes, right? What you just basically need is you need to have a verified custom domain registered in your Entra ID environment. That actually allows you to then start using quick setup. And once you have done the quick setup, as part of the quick setup, we actually do set up a verified employee verifiable credential as well. That is automatically configured for you, and you don't have to do much about it in terms of creating it or setting up the claims that go with it. Once the verified employee credential is set up, you can then go and make some changes regarding who you want to be able to request that particular verifiable credential, or who do you want it to be issued to. You can also elect to use the myaccount.microsoft.com portal as the portal that people go to actually request a verifiable credential. Or you can have a custom portal if you wanted to as well. And once that is done, your users can go to the myaccount.microsoft.com portal and then actually issue themselves a verifiable credential, which is the verified employee credential from your workplace. And with that, we are extremely excited to announce that FaceCheck has just become generally available as of the 12th of August, so about 2 weeks ago. FaceCheck has been in preview for a bit, and customers were really excited and looking forward to this feature making it to GA. And now it has made it to GA. For those of you who are not familiar with FaceCheck, FaceCheck with Microsoft Entra Verified ID is an easy way to introduce privacy-respecting facial matching into your identity verification processes. It's a privacy-respecting facial matching feature within Entra Verified ID that unlocks secure, compliant, that unlocks a secure, compliant way to perform high assurance identity verifications at scale, and in a very user-friendly flow. Our FaceCheck compares an individual's live selfie with a photo that is stored on the verified ID. Normally, this photo comes from a trusted document such as a passport, driver's license, or it could be an employee credential as well. It ensures only the right person has access to the right resource at the right time. Even if a user's phone was stolen and the thief had their verified ID, they would not be able to pass a face check verification, as the selfie would not match with the photo on the verified ID they are presenting. Examples of when you may want face check for higher assurance verification. When you're performing remote onboarding of employees or guest users into your Entra ID environment. Basic help desk function might be okay with just a verified ID. But if an employee wants to reset their password or recover their account, you might want to be more certain about who is taking that action or who is requesting for that password reset. At that point in time, by all means, use the face check capability. If a banking customer is making an unusually large transaction, right, you may want to make sure that the right person is spending that much of money. So if you are a customer of ours that is in the banking sector, think about it. Like, currently when somebody wants to perform a transaction, usually banks send a SMS to the user to do a verification. Like, how often do you see SMSs being compromised, right? This would actually take it to the next level. I, as a user, when I go to my bank, when I want to transfer some money, the bank actually asks me to do a face check. I do a face check. And once I have successfully completed the face check, at that point in time, the bank can then allow me to actually do the transaction that I'm about to perform. In academia as well, like our university could want to make sure that the right student is about to take an online exam. Universities, TAFE organizations over here in Australia, like they do a lot of online exams these days. If you are one of those organizations, one of those educational organizations that is doing online exams, how can you be certain that the person who's sitting in front of that computer is the right person doing that exam? Why not use face check in your process to verify that user, verify that student before they take the online exam? The use cases for face check is not limited to the examples that I have just mentioned. You can use this technology for higher assurance verification for scenarios that may be very unique to your organization, right? I think the sky is the limit when it comes to this technology. You can quite easily customize it or configure it to use it for the various different scenarios that might be unique to your organization. With that, let us look at some of the key scenarios for Entra Verified ID. The first one is employee onboarding and workplace credentials, and I'll dig deeper into this as we go along. The next one is access to resources. Like, this is what my colleague Yusuke will take you through today. Then we talk about help desk and account recovery. Now, this is a topic that we covered, like Yusuke and myself, we covered in June. So we'll share the recording link for that one for you guys to actually go through. But it would be a nice one to actually cover if you are in that environment where, like, in fact, I was talking to a customer yesterday. Like, customers are so particular about their help desk and the security of their help desk, and this is something that we can actually quite easily tackle with Entra Verified ID, and especially with face check now. And lastly, custom business solutions. As I said before, like, there's nothing stopping you from taking all the collateral that we have in terms of samples on GitHub and the information that we can provide you to go and build a custom solution that might be able to fix or actually secure your business case or your scenarios within your business that are actually something that is of concern to you at the moment. With that, let us jump into employee onboarding and workplace credentials. What we want to be able to do is when employees get onboarded, especially now when people are getting onboarded remotely, we want to be able to expedite that onboarding timeline. Like, usually it's like, lots of checks and balances that need to happen for somebody to be able to onboard properly. Reducing the time to hire to productivity with trustworthy self-service enrollment and faster onboarding by digitally validating information with industry-leading ID verification providers. Like, just imagine, like, it can actually reduce the amount of time it takes you to onboard a new hire and make them productive within your organization. We also want to be able to help you create fast, easy, and cheap onboarding that doesn't require new hires to spend time going through tedious in-person validation and waiting on administrative work. There's no need to wait for paperwork to be filled out. New hires can verify their identity and credentials online quickly and easily. When you use verified ID for professional licenses and credentials, workers only have to get certified once to receive the verified ID that they can present as often as they need to prove their skills. This portability makes starting new jobs much less painful for gig workers. Transfers for new hires. They can start their job after a quick check with their verified ID rather than having to wait for administrative work or the process to complete. And lastly, when companies can easily track and manage who they have onboarded without needing to store all their personal data, it becomes much simpler to follow rules and regulations surrounding data privacy and data compliance. We don't want to be able to keep data for employees or users unnecessarily, right? We want to be able to make sure that somebody is able to do that work for us and give a verification that, you know what, okay, Jay is actually Jay, and he's supposed to be onboarded into my organization. With that, let's go through the typical onboarding process that we usually see. So when somebody is hired, right, the new hire accepts the job offer, the company sends them a link to the onboarding portal. And now we are trying to make this remote onboarding as fantastic as possible for our users. So the new hire visits the onboarding portal to request identity, verified ID from our identity verification partner. And then the identity verification partner validates that the new hire's identity is all in order, and the partner issues a verifiable credential to the new hire. The new hire then returns to the onboarding portal, presents the verified ID, and completes the face check. And then once they have completed that, the new hire's identity is validated and is granted access to actually proceed with the onboarding activities. With that, let's jump into our demo. And what we'll do today is I will actually take you through a couple of different things. And because of the nature of this demo, it is a complex setup. So what I decided to do is actually do a recording of it and actually show you how this all looks like in terms of onboarding of an employee and how workplace credentials can actually be issued to that employee. So what I have over here is I have an environment like this is the onboarding sample that we have on GitHub. And you can actually download it now and try it now in your organization if you wanted to. So this sample actually allows me to onboard a user, create an email with a link that the user can then go to and verify themselves and then be able to then onboard themselves within my organization. So let's get started with this particular demo. So I'm signing into this particular sample, the page that I have, and I'm using passkeys now to actually sign into my portals. Like if you have not tried passkeys yet, try it. We are doing a fantastic feature with passkeys in terms of how people can do phishing resistant authentication to our services. So as I log into the user onboarding or the employee onboarding portal, I can go into register a new hire, and this registration process does not need to be done by an admin. It can be done by your HR team, or this is one way of actually doing it. You can actually customize it to suit whatever your business requirements are and actually set it up in that particular way. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm actually registering a new hire called test user 1, and as part of that process, I can actually provide other details, in terms of the employee number, the date of hire, the type of the employee, cost center information, and division information and whatnot as well. So all of that can be entered over here. And as I said before, if you want this process to be done by somebody else or somewhere else, you can actually do that as well. Once I've successfully provided all the information, I can then go and save the user. When I click on save the user gets created in our directory service in Entra ID. And as you can see, I get a object ID for that user. I can then go and do, get an onboarding link, right? So with this onboarding link, you can see these two links which are currently present. There's an onboarding link to email to the user, or you can actually copy the onboarding link directly from there as well. If you were to use the link that is on the top, it will actually generate an email that you can then send directly to the new hire. In my case, what I've done is I've actually copied the link, and I'm going to mimic the new hire over here. So now you have to imagine that I'm the new hire. I have just got that link from my email, and I'm now going to do the onboarding as a new hire. So in this case, what you can do is the new hire can be directed to our identity verification partner, where they go and do the identity verification and get a verified credential from them. Identity verification partners can be people like, let me just bring this up over here. I'll quickly show, this is our true identity. It's like a fake identity verifier that we have set up. And usually the process would be I would go over here as a user, and I would provide my name, user one. I would take a selfie. I'd provide some government issued IDs. And once all of that has been successfully verified by the identity verification company, they will then give me a verifiable credential that I can then show to people and say, you know what, okay, I have successfully done a verification through identity. In my case today, what I have done is I have actually gone ahead and done this for test user one, and I have got as you can see on the right hand, on the left hand side, I have got my phone screen shared over here, and I have got a fake IDV verified VC for test user one for this demo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go and say, I already have my card as test user one. I already have my card, and I'm going to do a verification, right? It's prompting me to actually scan a QR code. As you can see on my phone screen, I'm doing the QR code scanning. And then it's asking me to present a verifiable credential and do face check as part of that as well. So I've just chosen the fake IDV verified verifiable credential. As you can see, it had my my photo in it as well. And now what I'm doing is I am going to now do the face check. So in this process, what happens is the camera on the phone actually comes on, and it will take a selfie of me. And then it will compare the selfie with the photo that is on the verified ID. If there's a good comparison, so for example, if there's a good match between the selfie and the photo, it then shows you the match confidence score. And then based on that score, you can then say, you know what, okay, it is definitely test user one, and I'm going to onboard that user into my directory service, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do the selfie and do the face check. And once that is done, I can actually share that information with the application. So I have just shared that information, and now, as you'll see on the right-hand side, it's creating a temporary access pass for me. It's asking me to wait for it. This is how the user can now get the temporary access passcode instead of you emailing it to them, or somebody else passing it on verbally. What I'm doing now is it's asking me to actually set up my account in the Authenticator app. So as a user, I can actually go and set it up in my Authenticator app, and the process will then flow from there. I have fast-tracked this particular part of the video because I'm sure you guys are very familiar with how to actually go about setting up the Authenticator app. Just entering the temporary access passcode over here. And with that, you can see the user has been successfully onboarded. The user can go and reset their password if they wanted to. In my case, I'm going to go and do the reset of the password. And once the user has successfully reset the password, the user can actually go into M365 and actually upload their photo. And so that they can actually get a verified employee VC from my organization. In this case, what I have done is to fast track the process. I've actually gone in as admin into the Entra ID system, and I've updated the photo of test user 1 with my photo. Like, this is just to fast track the process. I don't have to do it. The user can actually upload their photo themselves. Or if you wanted it to be more secure, say, for example, if you did not want the user to be changing their photos in your environment, you could ask the HR team to actually upload their photo as well. So that works as part of this particular process too. So once the photo is successfully uploaded, the user can then go to the My Account page and actually get a verifiable credential from there of the verified employee for that particular organization. Now, it is very important, like even if you are a customer that is currently not planning to use face check, to go and have or ask your users or your HR team to make sure that users have profile photos on their accounts. Because in the future, if you wanted to do that, do face checks, for example, you'll actually have all the necessary information that the user needs to be able to do face check in your organization. So I'm going to quickly go into the My Account as test user 1. And then, I will be able to issue myself with a verifiable credential of the verified employee as I have joined that organization now. Now I can use because my temporary access passcode is still valid, I can use the password that I just set for that account. If that does not work, I can go back to my temporary access passcode and use that one as well. As an organization, you have the choice to actually set a time limit on the temporary access passcode. You can also set the number of times it can be used. So you can say only one use, or you can use multiple, you can allow multiple uses of the temporary access passcode. In my organization, obviously I've done that. So now as a user, I have logged in to myaccount.microsoft.com. And I can go ahead and issue myself a verifiable credential, right? So I'm going to skip this part. I'm not going to actually configure this at the moment because it's a test user. But in your organization, make sure that people actually go through that process and set up proper multi-factor authentication and whatnot for their account. So this is the process that you need to use to be able to get a verifiable credential, the verified employee verifiable credential from your organization. myaccount.microsoft.com, get my verified ID, scan the QR code, and then once you have scanned the QR code, you can now see that I have got the verifiable credential with a photo ID of myself from my employer. Now that concludes this particular demo. But what I also wanted to quickly show is the second part, which is onboarding of guest users in an organization. Now, I hear a lot from customers that they are struggling with two things. The first one is onboarding of guest users, or securely onboarding B2B guest users within the organization. The second part is lifecycle management of guest users, right? People are very confused about what happens to a guest user once it gets into my organization. So what we wanted to do today is actually cover the secure onboarding of guest users. What I would want to be able to do in the future sometime is show you the second part of it as to how you can utilize our Entra ID governance capability to then be able to do proper lifecycle management of guest users within your organization. But for today, let's look at how you can actually do guest user onboarding with Entra Verified ID and face check. So in this one, what I have done is I'm using the same sample as you can see before. I have got two options over here. I can do employee onboarding, or I can do guest onboarding. So I'm logged into, I'm going to log into one of the tenants over here. So like now the tenant that I'm using for this one, like my organization's tenant is the lab1. So I'm just quickly logging into that one. There's a partner tenant, which is called JM Lab1. So this is Lab2, that is Lab1. And what we are going to do is get a user to securely onboard as a B2B user into my Lab2 environment, which is like now depicting my organization. So I'm now logged in over here. I can go and configure trusted B2B partners, right? Partners who can go to this portal and then onboard into my environment as trusted organizations. So in this case, I have gone ahead and actually added Lab1 as a trusted partner, and I'm going to save that information, right? It will save those as trusted B2B partners, right? So once I am successfully done over here, I can quickly show over here in Lab2 that test user 02 does not exist as a B2B user in this environment. You'll notice that we only have a test user 01 that we onboarded just as an employee in our organization, right? So test user 02 does not exist. And what we are going to do now is we are going to actually onboard test user 02 from Lab1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in into my account as test user 02 and get a verifiable credential for myself, right? Because when I go through the process of now onboarding as a guest user into the Lab2 environment, at that point in time, I need to be able to successfully do a face check, right? And to do that, I need that verifiable credential, and I need to have a photo associated with that. So, like, I'm not actually showing you much of Lab1 at the moment, but just like, we are already aware that the account exists, and that's how the user was able to log into this particular portal. So now that the user is logged in, we'll go through the same process of actually getting a verified ID for that particular user. And that's the verified employee credential from Lab1. So same process, I'm going to quickly scan the QR code. I'm going to add that particular verified employee verifiable credential to my wallet. And I'll quickly show you that I have all the details that I need, plus I have got a photo ID with this as well. So now that I have already got my VCV from my organization, I will then try to actually onboard as a B2B user to Lab2. To do that, I have to go back to the B2B onboarding portal, right? So in this case, like what would happen more than likely is you as an organization will share that information with your partner, and that partner can then go to that link of that particular onboarding portal, and then they can actually onboard themselves as users, right? So over here, what I'm going to do is do a guest onboarding. Because I already have my card, I'm just going to click on I already have my card. I'm going to verify myself with the verified employee VC that I was issued with from my organization. So in the case of this particular demo, the partner organization, I'm going to choose that particular verified employee verifiable credential. It's asking me to actually do a face check as well. So it will take me through the same process. A lot of people ask questions about face check. Face check, we don't actually keep this selfie that is taken at this point in time anywhere. It's just used to match with the photo that we have on that particular verifiable credential. The thing that we send back to the application is what we call the match confidence score. So that match confidence score is the one that is used by the application to then go and do further processes, right? So now that I have done my face check, I have shared the credential, and as you can see, the onboarding of that guest user is happening now. So this saves you the whole sending of invitations and whatnot, and then keeping track of who's onboarded people have they actually successfully signed in or not. So now you can see the guest user has been successfully onboarded, and the user can actually click on sign in and go and sign in to Lab2, right? So in this case, when he clicks on sign in, as you'll see, the user is now successfully signed into the portal for Lab 2, right? So this portal is from Lab 2, and the user has successfully signed in. If I go back to my organization's Entra ID tenant, what you'll notice is the user account has been successfully created. So let's quickly find that user. You can see the user has been created as a with a user type of guest. And if I go into the details of the user, you can see the user has been successfully created as a guest user, and the user has actually accepted the invitation as well, right? So this actually makes the whole onboarding of B2B users like seamless. It makes it very easy for people to actually go and quite easily onboard users in their environments. With that, I'm just mindful of time. I'm going to hand over to Yusuke to actually take us through the next part of the session, and then what I will do is then we'll sum up afterwards with details on how you can go and actually do face check in your environment. Yusuke, over to you.
Right, good. I'm sharing my screen now. Do you see my screen? I think yes.
Yep, we see it.
Oh, all right. Great. So another common scenario is to use Microsoft Entra Verified ID and Verifiable credential to gain access to high-value applications and or resources. So this is not only something that can be useful for your own employees, but can also accelerate the enablement of the B2C or B2B scenarios to reduce the onboarding time for external workers, like Jay shared, and providing quick access to resources needed for a cross-company project is something all the enterprise customers are interested in. And yeah, so let's have a look at common B2B scenario here. This time we want to run a project that also involves partners into the project. The prerequisite to this is the collaboration partner needs to have verified employee credentials enabled for their employees on their tenants. With the entitlement management feature of the identity governance capability in Microsoft Entra, we can now create access package that can use verifiable credential as an approval method. So you create the access package with the appropriate resources for the partner that the partner employees can get access to by sharing their verified employee credential. The credential needs to come from specific organization which access package admin want user to present before getting access. Based on the policy setting, the access package will grant least privileged access to the right resources. This linkage of entitlement management with Entra Verified ID opens up this whole new possibility when it comes to approving access for resources. So whether it is for internal employees or external business partners, vendor, or suppliers. We will see, here's some of the user experience walkthrough, but we will see the end user experience of this scenario in the later demo. And from here, let's see how it works. And for this demo I'm going to show, I have created two tenants. So scenario is the user in the right-hand side tenant wants to get access to the resources in the left-hand side tenant defined as an identity governance access package in the entitlement management. And then during the access request, the user in the right-hand side tenant need to present the verifiable credential presented by the right-hand side tenant as an verified employee credentials. So let's see how it works in the actual environment. So at first, let's go to the resource tenant to see how entitlement management is set up. Here I have created the access package called Verified ID Demo. And for this access package, there are a couple of resources defined with this role. Here's the groups, SC Finance, and console dashboard as an application is set. And inside the policy, here I use the initial policy, which is the default of the access package when you create at the first time. This is the default one. And in this setting, in the request part of the setting, there are a setting to identify the credential which the user need to present before the approval process. Here I have set the specific tenant called YKDemo, which is my tenant, with the verified credential types. In this scenario, I require verified employee credential type from this tenant to be presented before the approval process to be happened. So this is a setting. If the verifiable credential, a verified ID is created on Verifiable Azure AD, Entra Verified ID service, you will see those organization information on this drop-down list. So it's just inserting tenant information, tenant name onto the drop-down, and then you will see the list of tenant, list of verifiable credential instance, verified ID instance from the drop-down list, and then you can just select it. And also, I have set approval setting as a require approval no. So which means end user can go through the verifiable credential presentation process. Access will be given automatically. And this is a tenant of the user tenant, account tenant. And I will use the user called VID demo for this one. Here's the user, which has a photograph as recommended. And some of those attributes is set to the users. And also, let's look at the verified ID setting. I have turned on the one-click configuration, verified ID instance with a one-click configuration. And I have just changed the color of the verified employee credentials just to make it easy to identify this is the verifiable credential from this tenant. All right. Now going to the employee experience. First, this user wants to have a verified ID on their wallet from the My account, right? So if you enable one-click configuration and enable the verified ID, verifiable credential installation for the specific users, the user will see Get My Verified ID menu on their My account portal. And here, when you click this link, you will see the QR code to get the verified credential to be imported to their wallet. So scan the QR code on the wallet application, which is MS Authenticator in this case, and then press next to install this verifiable credential to the wallet. And then if you look at this verifiable credential, there are the photograph installed and the attribute information such as display name is shown like this. And also issue date is stored on the verifiable credential too. Now, this user wants to have an access to the access package of the external tenant. So this is an external tenant, my access portal of the external tenant. And then if you click request to the access package, you will the user will be warned that you may need to present the verifiable credential. And when the user clicks continue, they will see the QR code, this time to present the verifiable credential on the wallet. So when you scan the QR code, you are asked to judge if you want to present this verifiable credential on your wallet to this application or to these resources. And then if you press continue to consent to the present, you will go to the next step of the access package access request. And from here, you can put your justification for the approval and then send request. Again, I haven't set the approval request for this access package, so this request will go through immediately. Just to check the request history, yeah, the request is submitted. And on the identity governance portal, you can see the assignment status here from the access package menu, where verified ID demo account has their access request submitted, and the status is delivering right now, and it's delivered now, which means a user have full access to those resources inside the access package. So this is how it works in terms of B2B scenario on the verified ID. Right, so Jay, do you want to proceed to the next demo, next scenario?
Yes, yeah, thanks, Yusuke. So let me share my screen again. Rachel, can you just let us know when the screen is up? Can you see it? Okay, brilliant. So the next part is what we wanted to talk about is how you can get started with face check. So face check is obviously new; it has just come out in GA, and what we wanted to do is make sure that people are aware of how to set it up in the organization and how to use it. So before we go into the details of face check and how you can set it up, let me just quickly talk about licensing. You can try verifiable credentials with Entra Verified ID now with the Entra ID free version of Entra ID that we have. Or if you are already a customer that is using P1 or P2 or E3, E5, say for example, that is already included as part of your license. So you don't actually have to pay any extra to start using Microsoft Entra Verified ID. If you want high assurance entitlement management with Entra ID governance, or the stuff that Yusuke was just talking about, that is included as part of the Entra ID governance license. Or if you are one of our new Microsoft Entra Suite customers, that is already included as part of that too. In terms of face check with Microsoft Entra Verified ID is currently available with Microsoft Entra Suite. So you get 8 face checks per user per month as part of that particular product. As part of that particular license. And if you don't have Entra Suite, and if you still wanted to use face checks, you could go and subscribe to the standalone version of it. It's like 25 cents per verification, and it's a pay-as-you-go service. So if you are not using anything, you're not paying for it. If you're using something, then you're paying for it. So there's some variety of different options available to customers, but especially for our Entra Suite customers. If you are an Entra Suite customer, if you've already paid for the service, why not try it? Go and use it, right? I know there's face check available for you to trial it now. We also do trials for Entra Suite as well. So if you're a new customer, or if you are a customer that is new to Entra Suite who wants to trial it, please go and trial Entra Suite. And in the trial, you actually get 8 face checks per user per month. So how do we enable face check? So on the portal that we have, under verified ID, like on the overview page, you'll see this option. Once you enable the service using quick setup, you'll see this option to enable face check as well, right? When you click on enable, what happens is it actually then takes you through the process of setting up a subscription. You need to actually link a subscription to this service for it to actually bill for that pay-as-you-go service, right? If you are an Entra Suite customer, you still need to configure this for this to be enabled within your organization. Let me assure you, if you are an Entra Suite customer, if you enable this, because your licenses already include face check verifications, till you exhaust that particular license, you'll not get charged on your Azure subscription. If you are a customer that doesn't have any Azure subscription at all, you can actually create a new subscription over here, and then create a resource group, and then do the resource allocation, and set it up with a trial version of the Azure subscription as well. Once you set it up, this is how it will look for you. This is how it actually looks like when you have it set up properly. You can see the activity logs. You can see the credential type that is being used. What was the application that was calling for it, and the status of that particular request as well. With that, let me do a quick demo for you on how to use face check. Right. I know it's like 12:01 over here in Australia on the eastern coastline. If you need to drop off, please by all means drop off. We'll share the recording with you afterwards, so you'll have access to the full recording, and you will be able to actually see what is going on after this as well. But if you want to continue, please continue. And we do apologize again for the late start as well. So with FaceCheck, like what we have done is we have come up with this particular portal for users to use. So to use this, you need to have a verifiable credential from your organization to be able to test FaceCheck, right? So like, you can use the process that like, I showed you multiples of times and Yusuke has shown you as well through the My Account portal. Go get your verified employee VC with a photo on it. The photo is the key part to this. And then you can come to this particular link. It's called ika.ms/FaceCheck demo, right? So this one over here, and I'm going to go to this link over here, and we'll just quickly do a quick face check, right? So I've got a card already, so I'm going to do the same process that I did, that I showed you guys before. So it's going to ask me to do a QR scan. Let me just bring this up over here. Let me do the QR scan first. Yep, I'll bring the phone screen on this side now. It's asking me to provide my verified employee VC. I'm going to use the one that is issued to me by Microsoft. I'll just quickly do a face check, and you'll see this happen live. And once that is done, I can actually share the details with the application. So I have just clicked on share details, and that should actually go to the application. And as you can see, like there's a 93.47% match. So this is like the score that is usually being sent to the calling application. But this is where you can go and trial face check. Like, you might not want to enable in your tenant yet. You want to be able to experience it first of all. So go to this link, aka.ms/FaceCheck demo, and we'll share the link as part of the thank you email as well. With that, let me quickly share some go-dos. So if you have not set it up yet, please go and set up Entra Verified ID in your tenant. That, like, you don't have to pay for it. Like, more than likely you already have that as part of your existing licenses. Enable face check. Like, if you don't want to enable face check, you can go and actually issue a credential from your VID environment, verified employee VC with the photo in it, and you can actually go to aka.ms/FaceCheck demo to actually trial face check. But as I said before, like, you can enable it in your tenant as well. It doesn't take much. It's just like, you just need to define or provide information of a subscription. Try the samples that we have available on GitHub. Everything that I've showed you today, employee onboarding, guest onboarding, all of those are available as sample code for you to trial it now. So you can go to our GitHub site, and we'll share the link with you as well. Go to our GitHub site, try those samples. If you are interested in doing a POC, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to actually support you through that POC. So, like, get started with everything that we showed you. If you want to do a POC, contact your Microsoft representative and ask for a POC for Entra Verified ID. You can choose whatever scenario you want, and we'll have colleagues of ours actually help you with that particular process. There's other things that you can get started off with, like, try Microsoft Entra Verified ID for free. Try face check with Entra Suite for free. Like, you can set up a subscription and start using it in your production environment if you wanted to as well. If you wanted to learn more, like, we have all those links to different documentation, ebooks, data sheets that you can go to actually learn more about the Entra Verified ID capability that we have, and with the fantastic face check feature that we have just introduced. With that, like, we have reached the end of today's session. I know it was a bit rushed. I do apologize for that. I do apologize once again for starting this a bit late, but I sincerely hope that you would have gathered some information on how you can securely onboard your employees, how you can securely onboard your guest users, how you can provide access to high value applications with high assurance within your organization as well. And not just for your users, but for your guest users too. On behalf of my colleague Yusuke, Rochelle, and the team that actually helps us put all of this together, thanks a lot to everyone for participating. Don't forget to give us your feedback. We'd be more than happy to see what your feedback is, gain those insights, and hopefully help you with the Entra Verified ID in the future as well. With that, thanks a lot for attending the session, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.